for National Poetry Month. And because we have a poet on our council, Councilwoman Martinez is going to present the proclamation to Mr. Tolliver, who's here today. Yeah.
So, Proclamation for National Poetry Month 2022. Whereas in 1996, the Academy of American Poets established this month of April as National Poetry Month. And whereas National Poetry Month seeks to highlight the extraordinary legacy and ongoing achievement of American poets, introduce Americans to pleasures and benefits of reading poetry, bring poets and poetry to the public in immediate and innovative ways, make poetry an important part of our children's education, and whereas National Poetry Month, under the leadership and direction of Academy of American Poets, is now the largest literary celebration in the world. And whereas poetry enhances and enriches the lives of all Americans, and whereas poetry as an essential part of the arts and humanities affects every aspect of life in America today, including education, the economy, community pride, and development. And whereas poetry has produced some of the nation's leading creative artists and has inspired other artists in fields such as music, theater, film, dance, and visual arts. Now therefore, I, Takesha Martinez, on behalf of our mayor, Emily Keller of Hagerstown, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2022 to be National Poetry Month and call upon all public officials, educators, librarians, and all citizens of Hagerstown to observe this month to celebrate the cultural riches of our community has to offer and to recognize the important role of poetry in creating and sustaining this great nation with appropriate ceremonies, activities, and programs. So as a poet myself, I would like to personally thank you for your 7 books of poetry as a published author, with the last 3 being So Much Love, Effortless Love, and Expressions of Love. And that's a lot of love. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you, poet. Thank you, author. And thank you for your contribution to poetry and to the city of Hagerstown.
Thank you.
Yes. Anything else?
For people who've been continuing to inspire me, I thank you. And this is just an honor. I appreciate you all.
Thank you.
It's an honor. It's an honor, Corey, to present this to you. Thank you. Yes. And no handshakes.
Eric,
Here comes Eric.
Keisha, Eric, get a picture.
Yep, here comes Eric.
Here comes Eric.
Good smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right, up next, we have a special young man in the audience named Afghan Way, and we're going to present a special recognition for him in recognition of his recent debut book series entitled Art Man Blackout. So if you could join me up here, please. Thank you so much for being here. And we do have this special recognition for you. I mean, how incredible is it that you published your first book series? I'm sure it is very exciting, and we are super, super proud of you. So this is a special recognition on behalf of the mayor and council. And I heard that you would like to read something. Great. I'll give this to you.
Okay. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. I'm good. Okay. So, the end is close. It was shortly after midday the next day. I had just had lunch, and I was back in my room pacing up and down, deep in thought. Suddenly, I was interrupted by my sister who came barging into my room. "Have you heard of knocking?" I asked. "No time," she said. "Quick, hand me $1, she said. "What for?" I asked. "Mom said that if I have some money, then I could go to the mall with her and—" Okay, I said, and just as I was about to give her $1, the ground shook underneath me as if there was an earthquake. What was that? My sister asked. I don't know, I answered. Angel and I rushed towards my bedroom window. As we got closer to the window, we saw what looked like the biggest machine in the world. It was so tall it almost looked like it was right next to our window, even though it was clearly somewhere around the center of our city, possibly on Main Street.
Thank you so much for being here. Do you want to say anything?
I was just going to read the book.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for being here. Congratulations on your
You
achievement.
and your dad wanted a book?
Yes. Well, me and Keisha.
Matter of. We need a picture. Eric?
Can we get a picture?
I think it would probably be.
One more for your book.
So you just have-
There we go.
Oh, we have extra, like probably 5.
Do you guys want to join the picture? I think all of us should.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go up, up. We're gonna go up.
We're going to go, Eric. We're going to have a family picture after
Yes,
this?
yes, and your family can come up and do a family picture. Yes.
Family picture with you.
Yes. Yes.
Good smiles and 1, 2, 3. Let's give them one for safety.
Yes, that's so important. Thank you. You're covering your face, but.
Here we go. Good smiles. 1, 2, 3. And one more for safety. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
For safety.
So it works out. Do you want to bring your
We're gonna bring your family up, okay.
Yeah.
Just you, man, Madam Mayor.
Yes. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. Congratulations, yes, thank you, guys.
Super excited.
Love it too.
Are you coming?
You ready? You ready? You ready?
Where's the certificate?
Are you coming?
Yeah, when would you go when I take a picture?
Is that me sitting on this?
Ready? Mia, put your shirt up a little bit. Mia, put your sweater up.
Yeah, yeah.
There we go. You ready?
Beautiful.
1, 2, 3. Good job.
Yeah.
Family without you singing.
Oh, one more.
Family without you singing.
Here we go.
No, legislating is family.
Yes.
So technically just family.
Yes.
Okay, good smile, everybody. 1, 2, 3.
One more for safety.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Congratulations.
Now finance.
Is that one for me?
You or your daughter or
Yeah, just sign
Me
it.
and my daughter can share one.
okay then. So I should put you and your daughter's name?
Sure.
So which one?
How about Emily?
How do you spell?
E-M-I-L-Y. And Layla. L-A-Y-L-A.
You took her book.
Thank you.
I was actually just gonna put it in the back.
Oh, we want it up here.
T-E, look, I'm already ready for you. T-E-K-E-S-H-A. Did you sign your name?
Yes.
Okay. That's important, thank you. Here's a pen from Madam Mayor. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you.
Does any guard want one? Cause, well, we like, I understood that
Oh, does anybody else want a book?
And some people at a restaurant we're going to, but
Oh.
for the rest. Guard wants some.
Yeah, but next one, I'll take one.
You
I'll
need to
take one for
run.
my grandkids.
Guard don't want to.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll take one for my grandkids.
It costs,
Names?
Okay, good.
Are they gonna share or,
Yeah, they'll share.
with us?
Yeah, they'll share. I'll make them share. N O A H.
How much do you have?
I got 3. C A. Well, C A A
I should have got this for Gary.
Y
That was dumb.
D E N, and one more. E D.
I have a baby cousin named Caden.
Oh, you do?
It's with a K.
Oh, okay.
Wait, maybe it's with a C. Yeah,
Yep.
C.
Let your imagination
And-
paint the world.
E D E Y. E D. E D E Y.
Oh, yeah, I did this.
That's all right. She can't read yet anyway.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did, because, well,
That's her real name. Eden's her real name.
I know,
I don't call her I called her. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, up next, we have a proposed charter amendment resolution, general obligation discussion. And we have with us Michelle
world
and Brooke
famous.
and the world famous Lindsay Rader. Hi, how are you?
Oh, the power.
Maureen.
Good afternoon, Lindsay Rader, Funkin Bolton, Bond Counsel to the county, or to the city, excuse me. Would you like me to give you an overview of the proposed charter amendment, or do you just want to launch into any questions you might have?
Go over.
Overview?
Yeah.
So the city has, when the city issues general obligation debt of any kind, we look both to a certain provision of the city charter and to the extent any matters are not covered by the charter, we default to provisions of the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland. The city has historically sold its general obligation debt by 2 methods. One is public sale at competitive bid, and the other is by direct purchase transactions to a bank or to the Maryland Water Quality Financing Administration. When you sell your debt by public sale at competitive bid, we pick a date and time for the sale. Bids are received. Back when I started practicing many years ago, we literally would have people running in from the underwriting firms, scratching their bids on a piece of paper at my law firm and giving them to us. Well, as we've all moved to electronic processes, now the bids are received by electronic bid over a specialized website platform. Because your charter doesn't dictate how any notice of sale, when you're employing this method of sale, should be published or otherwise disseminated, we have to default to the annotated code provisions, which require you currently to publish a notice of sale in full twice in a newspaper of general circulation within the city, which becomes a fairly expensive undertaking because these notices of sale are lengthy, particularly when you're issuing more than one series of bonds at a time. And these days, the underwriting firms do not get their information from newspaper publications. The notice of sale is included in your disclosure document, which is known as a preliminary official statement, and that is posted on the same website through which you receive the electronic bids. So since we were looking, I've been recommending that we amend the charter because the city is looking at potentially doing a public sale competitive bid later this calendar year. This will hopefully be done in time so that you don't incur those publication charges this year. But it also is not taking away your right to decide on an issue-by-issue basis in the future if you ever do want to publish a notice of sale or a summary notice of sale. Since we're looking at amending the charter anyway, I thought it would be prudent to go ahead and document some of the processes the city has been using based on the interplay between your charter and the annotated code provisions, and also to give you a little more flexibility, specifically in terms of if you were ever to undertake a negotiated underwriting, which is another method of sale, it can be helpful if you can sell your bonds to the underwriting firm at a discount. You currently cannot do that under your charter. And we also have added some language about being able to sell your bonds for cash or other valuable consideration. Currently, you have been selling your bonds for cash, but I have seen transactions where someone sells a bond to a landowner and it's essentially almost acting like a mortgage. So it just gives you flexibility going forward. The proposal is to introduce the charter amendment resolution at your regular session on April 26th, to hold the public hearing that's required by Maryland law on May 10th, and to consider the charter amendment resolution for adoption on May 24th. So it's giving you more flexibility. It's not taking away anything from your processes currently.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it would be difficult to find two publications of this, that publish in this.
Well, it only has to be in one newspaper, but published twice. So, yeah. So,
Do you guys have any questions?
I do not.
Good with this?
Yeah.
Smart move.
Yes, thank you.
and on a case-by-case basis, you can decide to do what you want. So, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. All right, up next, we have the fiscal year '23 budget initial discussion.
So we've got, Michelle is out today, non-COVID related illness, and Brooke gets to do this for the first time solo, which it means by herself. I just want to take a few minutes before Brooke starts to thank the management team and their staffs for getting this FY23 budget together. I especially want to send huge thanks to the finance department, who bust their tails every year, but especially this one to get this budget out, and thank CFO Michelle Hepburn for her leadership of the process. This will be the first year in a long time that we won't be eligible for the annual GFOA budget award, simply because GFOA changed their criteria that pretty much eliminates 2/3 of those municipalities of our size that submit budgets every year. But I would stack this budget document and this presentation up against any similar municipality of our size any day of the week. So thank you all for everything you've done. Just a couple points to make. This budget does not include any real or personal property tax rate increase. It also does not show any decrease in city services in this budget. That does not mean that we do not still face challenges, even though we are coming out of a COVID nightmare budget-wise and municipal-wise that we were able to weather very well, thanks to the city staff that persisted through this. This budget reflects the third year of our triennial assessment. So this will be the third iteration of any assessed value increases that occurred 3 years ago. SDAT, State Department of Assessment and Taxation, has begun or will begin very shortly that process, which will reassess every parcel within our corporate boundary. Some may think that with market values going up, that assessed values will go up. That is an observation that may be true, but we have found in the past where even though market values are going up, assessed values in some areas of the city may not go up as much as we would forecast. That's why this is it's a very tricky process. Also, the current world situation and its effect on the economy makes this a very dicey time to be doing property reassessments. Should there be any type of market downturn, that could significantly impact our ability to generate revenue through increased assessments. And being that property taxes are the vast majority of our revenue, that's a big factor as we go forward. If assessed values do not increase to the levels that we expect them to do, one of the major causes of this is back to what I have talked about for the past 2 years, 3 years. Today's my anniversary, as a matter of fact, as being city administrator, and that is the effect of blight, urban blight on our assessed values. We are going to be taking, and we have taken, a pretty aggressive stance towards addressing blight, and we've brought it before you in previous work sessions, to where we are going to, now that we're out of COVID, take a more aggressive stance on the remediation and rehabilitation of blighted properties especially within our urban core, and try to bring those neighborhoods back up to a quality of life that they deserve. This is not a replacement type of a situation. This is a rehabilitation of our properties. We also were very fortunate to have received significant amount of money, one-time money, from the federal government and the American Recovery Act. Also, we received money out of the federal budget, thanks to Congressman Trone, that will go towards that effort. And we are very hopeful that will begin making an impact on the community starting this summer. We are also hopeful that our assessed values will remain, will give a small percentage of increase with all the additional development being done through economic development. We all notice the increased commercial development, but within the last 2 months, residential, we have had more residential new construction start in this town than we did in 2017 and 2018. So, and we've brought to you several times some of the new developments that are going on in the city. We are maintaining an aggressive annexation effort because that's how we are going to have to grow, is through annexation. And we will continue that, and this budget also reflects that. One of the challenges that we have where we address in this budget, but we're going to need to address moving forward, is pay competitiveness. It used to be that a government job, you got into a government job a lot of times when you were 16, 17 years old, and you retired when you were 55 or 60 after being here, 40 plus years. Those days are pretty much over. We are in a competitive, it used to be the only time we really had to work with competitive pay was with the police department because of the pay around. But now we are experiencing pay competitiveness, or the lack of competitiveness, across all our departments. And that is just not sustainable. We need to be able to pay to retain, and perhaps more important, pay to recruit, to bring qualified, experienced people into city government, and to be able for us to move forward. And that is something that we are going to work on, that we've worked on in this budget, and you'll hear more about that as we move forward, but something we are going to have to look at in future years, whether that be through pay table readjustments, adding pay tables for different labor groups, looking at job descriptions. Every job description is going to be looked at over the next 12 months, and we are going to look to align ourselves to be at least in the ball game when it comes to recruiting the best and the brightest that we can to our positions that we have, because we have a lot of those that are potentially able to retire, and we need to replace those with quality candidates. And by the same token, we need to be able to retain those that may look to the private sector where they might get a bigger bang for the buck out of pay, and make this a good, and make the city a good place to be and a good place to stay for a number of years. So that will be, and there's a ton of other things in this budget I'm not going to go into, but Brooke and Michelle will over the next couple of months. And we look forward to starting some new projects. The field house definitely is one of those. We're looking at, the stadium, downtown stadium to be rebuilt. Economic development is very, very active. Our code enforcement group, we're going to be looking at things with them to help us aid the quality of life for a lot of folks around here through reintroducing some potentially good quality of life code amendments. And we look forward to a very successful FY23 for everyone. So with that, give it to Brooke and let her briefly go through what the schedule is going to be moving forward and just some of the other key items of the budget.
Okay, by charter, we are required to present a balanced budget by March 31st, which we did. Budget books were distributed and posted to our website, which is under finance/budgeting. Also, the city administrator's message, which you have in your packet, that is on the spotlight on the homepage right now. But tonight, I'm just going to go over a high-level citywide summary with some key financial information, and then Michelle and I will be back over the next few weeks to dive into each section, each fund a little more specifically. So I'm going to start with the overview section. The three main parts of this are the city administrator's message, the strategic plan is in here, and also department goals. Just want to bring your attention to page 6 and 7, which were two new pages we added this year. Page 6 is an entire page dedicated to the Hagerstown Fieldhouse. And then page 7 is an entire page dedicated to the American Rescue Plan Act. There's a chart on here that breaks out all of the projects that we've either spent or obligated as of probably last month. It also breaks it down by fund, by year, and by federal expenditure category. So here, FY21 actual, we spent $2.2 million. We're projecting FY22 to be another $2.2 million, and we have in the budget, FY23 budget, 7.9 for a total of 12.2 so far. Then we'll skip over to the general fund, which is section 2. In here, it starts out with revenues and then finishes off with expenditures by department. I'm just going to go over a couple key financial indicators here. The general fund has a balanced budget with a $1,800 surplus. As Scott said, there's no change in real estate tax rates from FY22. It's still 1.002 per $100 assessed value, excluding apartments, and 1.032 per $100 assessed value for apartments. Also, no change in corporate personal property tax rates. They're still at 2.505 per $100 assessed value. We're projecting an assessed value growth of 3.5%. Highway user revenue, we are budgeting $1.3 million for capital projects and $134.1 thousand to cover annual debt service requirements. There's a one-time transfer from the health insurance fund of $654,000 due to an FY21 surplus. Utilization of general fund balance reserves is at $3.6 million. Transfers to the economic redevelopment fund are $1.06 million to cover various incentives, which includes $855,000 for Invest Hagerstown. We have continued funding in there for $105,000 for the 911 center. Staffing changes include reduction of 7 vacant full-time positions in police, 1 new full-time temp ARPA grant coordinator position, 1 part-time to full-time position in code administration, and 1 part-time to full-time position in support services. Salary and benefit costs total $34.3 million and comprise 59.6% of total general fund expenditures. And in FY '24, there's a projected $3.8 million deficit that will need to be balanced if there are no changes made in FY '23. And we'll skip to the enterprise section, which is section 3. This section includes the 3 utilities, electric, water, and wastewater, also parking, golf, property management, and stormwater. Some highlights here. The electric fund has a power contract in place through May 31st with an extension through May 2024. No change in full-time staffing. Total capital projects in the electric fund are at $2.1 million. There is a $186.1 thousand deficit for FY '23, and cash balance projections start at $4.2 million FY '23 and decrease in FY '26 and '27 to negative $864,000 and $2.5 million. Water and wastewater both have cost rate models approved through FY '24. Neither of them have any staffing changes, but they do have allocations within the lab. Water has total capital projects in the amount of $6 million. $611,000 deficit for FY '23, and cash balances here are going to decrease also from 11.8 in '23 to negative $3 million in FY '27. Wastewater fund total capital projects include $9.1 million, $6.6 million surplus for FY '23. Parking fund, no new rate increases for FY '23, no change in full-time staffing. The third parking deck construction is set to begin in FY '23, and we forecasted revenue and operating expenses starting in FY '25. Total capital projects included in the amount of $5.8 million. This does include a $206.9 thousand deficit in FY '23, and the ending cash balance projection will decrease from $5.5 million in FY '23 to negative $179,000 in FY '26 and $654,000 in FY '27. Stormwater fund, there's a cost rate model approved with rates increasing from $34 to $36 per 1,000 square feet of impervious surface starting in January 2023. Full-time staffing positions decrease a little bit to 4.11, which is due to allocations. Capital projects included in the amount of $1.4 million, and there is a $1.8 million projected surplus due to lower than expected personnel costs and lower than expected uncollectible customer accounts. So that's really all I have for tonight. The remaining sections will be special revenue, service trust funds, financial projections, capital improvement projects, and we'll go through all those in future weeks.
And one of the things that was a huge benefit in putting this budget together was the strategic plan that you all put together. We were able to actually take that document and prioritize projects and spending based upon what you saw as your priorities. So that was very key in being able to put this together. So we appreciate that work you all put into that.
Do you guys have any questions for Brooke?
No? Okay.
Thank you very much. All right, up next we have a Planning Commission recommendation for the Conversion District Overlay at 535 Summit Avenue.
And there is a handout also at everybody's place, drawings that aren't in the packet.
Hello. So we're here to discuss the Conversion District Overlay at the Old Surrey School. We do have a positive recommendation from the Planning Commission. And again, just to go over a conversion district overlay, the point of it is to simulate adaptive reuse of larger buildings that are non-residential. Essentially, it provides an alternative development concept for underutilized buildings in the city. So this property is an existing vacant building, is previously occupied by a daycare center, and before that, public school. It's located on Summit Avenue. It also has frontage on Virginia Avenue facing City Park. And the plans are to create a boutique hotel with associated accessory uses, including a restaurant and outdoor dining. The proposal also includes additions on either side of the building and on the Virginia Avenue frontage as well. And then they have parking for guests in the Summit Avenue frontage and for staff behind the building. So Planning Commission held a public review meeting on February 23rd, and we haven't received any public input for the case. And then the only specific request from the Planning Commission is that outdoor dining will be permitted with a pending text amendment. And then I think we're planning to host a public hearing on April 26th. And then, like Donna said, we also attached a concept plan in addition to the initial staff analysis and application that was provided in your packet. Anyone have any questions?
I think this is exciting.
It's very exciting.
I'm looking at this drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Is the bottom portion or the top portion Virginia
Top is
It's not
Virginia
labeled.
Avenue, the bottom is,
Yeah.
Summit.
From that direction, yeah.
Summit is down at the footer area.
Right. I mean, I don't have any issue with the plan, except that being familiar with that area, those two streets are clearly different in how they function, how they absorb traffic, how they've traditionally functioned in terms of volume. And it looks to me like what's gonna happen is a lot of the trajectory of traffic flow will go on to Summit versus where it's generally on Virginia right now.
I think the idea behind that was just to have the outdoor terrace facing Virginia, to be facing City
To
Park.
take advantage of the
Right, the
aesthetic
view.
value of the park across.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. It's just, I was surprised that no one from the public, no citizens in the Summit Avenue area commented, you know what I mean? Because for decades, that's been nothing but like a grass park area that's had a fence in front of it. Now it's gonna become a pretty, busy
Yeah,
traffic area with an elevated,
It's already busy.
volume of parking
yeah.
on the opposite side of the building. It's just, almost you're gonna flip the trajectory. It's just-
Yeah, we sent letters to those adjacent property
Yeah.
owners over there, so I've spoken to a couple of them. I'm not sure if they will provide input at the public hearings. You might be hearing from some of them, but,
The one plus to that is that the street widens just to the south of where that is, so that'll
Oh, yeah, I definitely think it's a nice wide street that can handle, it's gonna be weird
Yeah,
that it's
oh,
been like
absolutely.
this, that all the parking's happened on the Virginia Avenue side forever.
You're flipping it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now suddenly it'll be the opposite. I do like that the proposal does not provide for throughway
Yeah.
between the two parking areas.
That'd be
Because I
nice.
definitely think people would use that to cut through. So, I think it's cool.
I think it's absolutely the best use of that piece of property.
Oh, it's gonna be beautiful.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be beautiful.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, up next, we have the review of central lot addition to the competitive negotiated sale program.
So this is a follow-up to our February conversation. So DCED staff have received inquiries of potential sale of the portion of the central lot for redevelopment. The site had previously been included in the community center, city center plan as a catalyst project number 1 for Class A office space. And we previously had a response for an RFQ from developer, but that agreement has since expired. On page 3 of your packet would be the two sites that we're considering, Site A and Site B, which would have 48 spaces and 16 spaces of surface parking. Previously in our discussion, we had the consideration of traffic impact along Potomac and Washington Streets. We had engineering take a look at the impact of flow from the service from Potomac onto Washington Street during peak hours. And we're anticipating a high of 60 vehicles during the 4 to 5 p.m. range. And engineering concluded that there would not be a impact of service on the intersection of Potomac and Washington Street. Just a little bit of a background on the competitive negotiation sale process. It facilitates the sale of city-owned properties with the goal of returning the property to the private sector for redevelopment and highest and best use. The city makes real estate available for purchase and redevelopment. Department of Community and Economic Development coordinates the process and accepts purchase applications. The mayor and city council identify properties to be offered for sale and ultimately approve any redevelopment concept and purchase. Just of note, we would expect the motion to include a consideration for additional parking on the site itself as the sale of the Market House property and the potential redevelopment for the parking deck occur. So we'd have a parking lot for additional spaces considered for any redevelopment of the site for proposals that come in. And again, this is just for offering the ability for the property to be actively receive proposals. It would come back to this body for any proposal that would be submitted.
So,
Sounds good to me.
So just to be clear, because I'm pretty sure that if anybody's watching, if they didn't catch it, they did hear you mention 48 parking spots. I didn't hear you say eliminating 48 parking spots, but that's what'll happen on site.
Correct.
We'll eliminate 48 surface parking spots that are adjacent to the Elizabeth Hager Center. That's all a negotiated sale process for sale. And we're actually subtracting value from that building because now there won't be available parking adjacent to that building that's on the negotiated sale process.
Well, there's still parking, and there's also a parking deck across the street.
I get that, yeah. Been around for a while.
Thanks.
And you know that I would like to see this parking lot. But
I mean, I don't.
I just
know why
think
we
that,
wouldn't see what offers we get.
talking to Michelle, she has expressed her concern, to me anyway, about, reducing the value of Elizabeth Hager Center because of that. So that's my stance. I mean, I think you're taking away the opportunity that gets the citizens their money back on Elizabeth Hager Center.
How long's the Elizabeth Center been on the market?
Well over a year at this point.
Have we gotten any offers?
We've gotten interest. I would say nothing that would warrant a
Kind of like
discussion.
Gotcha.
Kind of like the person who was interested in Site A. That offer expired, right?
Yeah, I believe that was from 2018.
Oh, that was, I thought we were talking about the latest one we talked about.
Are you guys okay with adding it?
Sure.
Yeah.
I have a question. When I see the yellow lines, that means it'll also eliminate the sidewalk that goes through. Is that?
That's for the
I'm-
person.
I'm trying to zone in as specifically as possible, and I say that, and the building we're putting billing in, we're okay, talk about that publicly, right? Okay. I just make sure, I guess the only reason I say that is, I'd be way more comfortable if it was 2 years down the road, and we were in that building, and I could see, and I expressed the concerns when we went that direction about what's the traffic gonna be like for people trying to drive through and pay their bill. And all I'm saying for me is, I would love to be 2 years down the road and see how that functions in an open capacity as it applies to traffic flow going in to pay bills. In other words, to me, we're gonna eliminate both access points, or could potentially both access points at the same time. And I think between the pedestrian connectivity, because it looks to me like that's being eliminated altogether.
And the electric.
And I guess
vehicle charging station.
Well, I guess the part, I don't care about that. The part that I have a little trouble with is, I'm thinking back to when we had to buy the access point back to get from the Bulls and Bears deck. I know that's the wrong term. Excuse me for dating myself. You know what I mean? We had to pay 50 grand to get that access point back, pedestrian wise, and then across the street from that, behind the professional arts building. You know what I mean? And so when I see this, I'm like, okay, well, you know, I could be swayed on site A, but when I'm seeing that we're eliminating
The current, yeah,
the
that's the current
the walkway
parcel.
too.
That's the current parcel layout. We could obviously alter, because we are the owner of it, we could,
But once you sell it, you sell it.
we
In
still
other words,
have-
I could say, well, I don't wanna do it if it's gonna be housing, which that's my position, so everybody's aware out there. But you know what I mean? Once you sell it, you sell it. It doesn't matter at that point, because they get to decide what they wanna do with the sidewalk and things. And
That's something we could negotiate through the sales process, is to
and
read the parcel to exclude the sidewalk if,
I just wish we had billing already in there and up and running, and we could go, okay, you know what? Traffic seems to flow fine through there, but we're not. So that's what I'm not there yet on site A. Maybe that's
Are you guys good with at least
hesitation to
listing it
change.
for now?
We're just listing it.
Yeah.
For any change, okay, oh, yeah, I'm okay.
Okay,
okay, thanks.
thank you. All right, we have the National Opioid Distributor and J&J settlement updates.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
So, just by way of review, we are parties to two national settlement agreements from July of last year. One is with the big three distributors, one is with the producer, and then more recently, we've entered into an allocation agreement with the state. That's also known as the state subdivision agreement. And as a condition of that, the Attorney General has required that we be able to set aside and segregate these funds so that we can show that they're being properly spent. So what you have before you for the special session immediately following this is a motion to deposit all of the settlement funds that we received, which we know are coming in as a result of these agreements that we've entered into, and we anticipate additional funds coming as well. So we have to segregate them. We already have a special revenue grant fund set up, and I've talked to the Director of Finance, and she assures me that this will be a good mechanism by which we can track all of those funds, so in the event of an audit, we can show the state that we're properly spending these funds. The reason that this motion is before you now is because it's a requirement of the Office of the Attorney General. The more important questions that you probably have on your minds, when are we gonna get these funds? How much are these funds gonna be exactly? How will they be spent? I can't answer for you. They'll be properly answered by the pool law group at some point in the future, but we need to have this up and running so that we can comply with the directive of the Office of Attorney General, and they're going to give us further guidance on that in the future. So this also, the other thing that I thought about in drafting this, and Michelle was very helpful in working through it, was we're going to have additional settlement funds other than those that are described right here. So this will give us the mechanism to put it all into that one special revenue grant fund, and then Michelle will make sure that it's properly segregated so that we can keep track of it in accordance with the terms of our allocation agreement.
Are you guys good with this? Move forward? All right,
All right, thank you all.
thank you.
And I never like to put a special session on to approve something that we talked about literally 40 seconds earlier. But in this case, being that we're such under the gun from the state AG's office to have this process down, that's why I did it that way. You won't, it will be certainly an anomaly that we do it this way.
Can I get a motion to go into special session, please?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So we have a motion of the City of Hagerstown authorizing, approving, and directing the deposit of all funds paid to the city in connection with its litigation against contributors of the opioid addiction crisis into the city's special grant revenue fund.
Madam Mayor, I move for the approval of a motion authorizing the city to deposit all funds which it receives by virtue of the state subdivision agreement dated January 21, 2022, the agreement into the city's special grant revenue fund, which will allow the city to segregate and separately track all funds received and spent by utilizing various accounts and projects by virtue of the agreement. In addition, the city will establish a separate, non-pooled bank account to monitor and track these funds. The agreement is the mechanism by which the city receives its share of the settlement funds realized by virtue of its participation in the distributor settlement agreement dated 7/21/21 and the Janssen settlement agreement dated 7/21/21, collectively the national agreements. The city anticipates receiving additional opioid litigation settlement funds by virtue of additional national agreements. Said additional funds shall be allocated among the subdivisions in accordance with the agreement, and said additional funds will likewise be deposited into the special grant revenue fund without the need for further motion.
Second.
Shelley? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have approval of purchase of one vehicle for police use.
Madam Mayor, I hereby move for mayor and council approval of the purchase of one vehicle for police use. These vehicles will be purchased from Jean Latta Ford in Hanover, Pennsylvania for a total of $22,034. Funding will be from HPD's vehicle CIP account, number C0129.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. City Administrator.
Yeah, just one thing, want to remind everyone that tomorrow night at 6 o'clock sharp at Municipal Stadium, the seats, the individual seatings will be auctioned off. These seats will be, I think for the most part, in groups of 3. The way they were constructed, that's pretty much the only way you can do that, but that will be tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock down at Old Municipal Stadium.
And you can do it online too, correct?
I don't know the answer to that question, Councilman.
I thought we discussed that.
I don't know the answer to that question, but I will get it for you.
I think you have to be on site.
I think you have to be on site as well. I don't think they had a mechanism to do that,
I thought through Cochran we did.
but I'll find out for you.
Okay.
That's it.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Nothing tonight.
Nope.
Tiara?
Hi, I have one thing. So last week, Councilmember Takesha Martinez and I celebrated the Women's History Month at the Boys and Girls Club. It was a very large group. They had a lot of great questions. Again, another full circle moment for our relationship, and also have an opportunity to talk to the kids about hair, hygiene, and even ask us questions about what our favorite foods were. This is another great opportunity to talk to the kids. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Abshire?
No, I don't. A lot of kids do a lot of good things all the time. Just want to say congratulations to my daughter, Greenlee, who took first place in the creed speaking for the FFA, Clear Spring High School. So
Awesome, congratulations.
she must get that from me.
Gets that from her mother.
Councilmember Martinez?
Yes, I just wanted to say that at the Black Box downtown, April 24th, I'll be hosting open mic at the Spit Your Piece, and tickets are online. They're $10 online, and there'll be 15 at the door. And that'll be something that'll be happening every third Sunday of the month. It will be at the Black Box, and 6 p.m. doors open. Hope to see you there, Councilmember Alshire. And then also, Also, I just want a huge shout out and thank you to the economic development staff, and particularly Chris Simmerling. I got a message from my mom, and my mom had stopped down or maybe even called, I'm not really sure. All I know is I got a message that said, Chris Simmerling for the city is great. He was talking real good to me. And so if I could translate that for those that don't know what talking real good to me means for my mom, is that my mom, she just recently got her driver's license. She also just recently bought a car. She was in active addiction for a very long time, and she has been clean for a long time. However, she's taken some steps to, number one, graduate with her degree in business, and then also get a driver's license. At the same time, my youngest daughter, Journey, was going, my mom was also going. Many times she has walked in the agencies downtown, even just human resource agencies, social services, the stores, all of that, and has been treated very badly, or just felt like she didn't belong. And here I get a phone call from my mom that says she wants to open a boutique up, and that the city staff received her very well. And so that's amazing, because it talks a lot about, you know, who we are and exactly what it means to accept and be open for business for everyone. So thank you guys so much. That means a lot. Just to hear my mom say she had a great experience in any business is amazing. But to say it for economic development was pretty great news for me. So thank you guys.
Thanks for sharing. That's awesome. Yes, thank you for sharing. I'm going to piggyback on that because I don't think we've met in person since you and I had a meeting with Doug and Rata and a whole host of people that are interested in investing in Hagerstown, and it was just an incredible day. Doug, hats off to you. I think both of us were just like in awe of what you do, especially while we were walking. I think you know every single detail about every single building in this city, and it was pretty awesome to watch, so thank you for that. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Goodwill and to Miss Takesha's daughter for hosting a teen event on Saturday. They had a carnival over there at their location on Prospect Street for youth and specifically homeless youth, and it was awesome. So thank them, all of them, for what they do and for all the organizations that are reaching out to the kids in our community. And lastly, since we didn't meet last Tuesday, the Sunday before that, Fred Chavez was sworn in as the president of the Washington County NAACP chapter, and I got to attend that event at Impact Ministries, and there were representatives from all over the state here to see that happening. So I just want to give him a shout out and congratulations. And with that, we are adjourned. Enjoy your Tuesday. Oh, wait.